This was originally going to be a conversation. Brandon was going to come over. We were going to talk about Mockingbird Lane and how I would like for NBC Universal or whomever owns the distribution rights of said property to shut up and take my money. It is a new theme, a new series from the channel, that being Shut Up and Take My Money. However, Brandon was unable to come over in the middle of finals in college and all that, so totally understand. After the open rolls, I'm just going to break it down. I'm going to talk to you, the viewer, about my mindset, the general misunderstanding of why things are not available. Not to be selfish or self-centered, but the calculus seems simple. Invest money, release product so that people buy it, you make money back. Not to divert from Mockingbird Lane the conversation, but it's simple. I wrote Everlasting Survivors, the 68-page graphic novel, Volume 1, all day long. Available now via the link in the description of this and every other video. Like I said, simple calculation. So that is why I struggle with the idea that not just NBC, but plenty of people, but in this particular case, NBC would invest in a Munsters reboot. Or reimagining, if you will. Supposedly, according to the internet, an edgier version called Mockingbird Lane. I say supposedly because, now granted, I know it's not the camp and the cheese of the original Munsters. But what I mean is, I watched Mockingbird Lane the one and only time it aired on NBC a million years ago. Not really, but probably a decade ago. And it did not seem to me as though it was some sort of out of bounds property. It's, yes, it's not the haha of the original, but it is still something that money was put into, which begs the question to me, why is it that they do not make this available to be purchased by people that want it? Myself explicitly in this particular case. However, I can assure you, the viewer, that I cannot be the only person who's willing to purchase this property, because while I do not know the exact numbers of the only time that the show aired episode, I'm sure I wasn't the only person watching. So they have to be able to, in my mind, make some sort of monetary return on their investment, and that's what confuses me about this and the entire series of, for the channel, Shut Up and Take My Money. And that being, why do you not want to make an attempt to make back your money? And I'm not even saying it has to be physical media. Now, granted, if you did release Mockingbird Lane, preferably it would have been this Halloween, but even next Halloween, on DVD, Blu-ray, whatever you want to call it, okay, there's a cost to producing it, so I can understand if you've got to charge $9.99, fine. But in a world where digital sales are possible, via so many different avenues, whether it be Vudu, Amazon Prime, or whatever, the Amazon Prime app, I mean, or other outlets. See, because here's my thing. I know that there are people that bootlegged, taped, recorded, whatever, and released Mockingbird Lane via, I don't know, Daily Motion and other online avenues. But the thing is, I don't like the idea of taking somebody's creation from them just because A, it's wrong, and B, I sure wouldn't want it done to me. And thus, with that, I would much rather pay the people that made and, in this scenario, released the product that I want. So that's why this isn't a review, but it's just basically a critique of the concept of putting so much into a property and then not allowing the customer to get the ability to pay you for it. So, like, in the instance of, let's say, Netflix, so I know that they had a shakeup in their higher ups with, or after they purchased Mark Millar's Millar World Stories, they had a new person put at the head of the table, and they didn't like all the money that was being spent on Jupiter's Legacy, so they canceled the show, even though it was a resounding, it had popularity to it, right? But the difference between Jupiter's Legacy not getting a season 2 and Mockingbird Lane not being released, period, is that even though Jupiter's Legacy didn't get a season 2, season 1 is still viewable via Netflix. And that's the thing that throws me off about all of the things that I will be speaking about here on the Shut Up and Take My Money series, and that is the investment of the creators to make said product, and yet the inability of the audience to purchase the thing that was made. That's the part that blows me away, and I just cannot wrap my head around it. It's as if that I would have, although even before I finish it, I did see that there were people, or are people, I guess, who do, let's say, D&D, maybe not even D&D, but like role-playing campaigns, and they pay artists to draw their story, but don't intend or attempt to make a profit from it, which confuses me. If you've invested your time and your money into an idea, it just seems strange to me not to try and make money from that investment. So, I do think that this series will be better when Brandon or some other co-host is able to converse about it. But this is the basic structure to which this series was conceived and shall continue. And it's just the puzzling nature of, and maybe that's what happens when you have just stacks and stacks of money. You're big corporate, and the money that you put into it no longer matters. I don't know, but I do know that because I'm not big, I'm not corporate, and I don't have stacks of money behind my creation, I cannot, in good conscience, put money behind Everlasting Survivors. This is a poster for Jeff's second cover, the C cover, and this is a poster version of February Ferdian's E cover. But like I said, I cannot in good conscience put money behind a product, that being Everlasting Survivors. This is Nick Crook's B cover. I can't, in good conscience, put money behind all of this stuff and then not attempt to get the word out to the audience, because it seems like a bad use of my money. Because that's the thing, is like I spent the money to get these shirts made up so that I could sell shirts. Spent money to get the books printed up and the posters made. And maybe it's because I'm so small. I'm so from the ground up, so DIY, that I can't see things from that big corporate ladder spectrum. But what I know is that I will forever fight and claw and scrape and try to get the word out and make money to invest in Everlasting Survivors Volume 2 and Authentic Miracle, the origin story of Dominic Canuho, all these things, because I think that there's value in the story. And I feel that way about Mockingbird Lane, the Jerry O'Connell led, Eddie Izzard led reimagining of the Munsters. And that's why I want for NBC Universal to shut up and take my money, allow me and others, please, in the comments, let me know, did you watch the one time the show aired? Did you go out and did you watch it on the internet where, you know, the people who sail the high seas put it out there for you to view? And if you viewed it, what did you think? Would you have been willing, were you interested enough to try to continue the series? Because to me, I thought that everybody's performance was good enough that I would be willing to continue on watching and experiencing the show grow. And again, I'm very invested in Jerry O'Connell. I can remember when his show Sliders, it got canceled from Fox because Fox loves doing that, and it got picked up by Sci-Fi. And then Sci-Fi said, oh, this is on Monday nights. Well, went head-to-head with Raw, and I said, well, Raw, you got to take a back seat for a minute because my boy Jerry O'Connell is over here exploring different dimensions. And so it might be a little bit of that, but it's also, it was a show that I think had potential. And that's what bothers me about its early cancellation, and more importantly, my inability to buy it post that, well, period, my inability to buy it. And so with that, I look forward to continuing down the road of exploring shows and series that I am unable, and you're unable, to purchase because distribution companies or production houses, however, wherever the problem lies, they refuse to shut up and take my money, and I will continually bemoan that thought until it gets rectified. So thank you for tuning in. Come back to the channel on Monday for a current critique of the DC Universe, or DC Extended Universe, Flash movie that I'm sure that you shall enjoy, because I know that I didn't enjoy watching the movie. Later.